Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Cup of Success. I'm your host, Zach Taubman, and today our guest is Andrew Hassiepen. He is currently Assistant Director for NCAA, and really excited to have him on. So, welcome in, Andrew.
Hi, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, Andrew, tell us, a little bit about your background.
Originally from Central Illinois, went to the University of Illinois for both undergrad and grad school. Majored in HR and labor relations. Started my career with Stanley Black and Decker, where we met and overlapped, and now I've been with the NCAA for just over 3 years.
So, I see you're repping your alma mater there
For
with
sure,
the
for
shirt.
sure.
And you started and got your bachelor's with an agricultural economics major, but then went straight and got your master's in HR. So want to know what caused you to change that and why you went straight to your master's.
Originally didn't know what I wanted to do. Figured I'm from the Corn Belt. We have, John Deere, Caterpillar, ADM, bunch of large companies. I thought, what better than agricultural economics? But really, frankly, a friend was in the Masters of HR program and said, "Hey, I think you'd really like it." Um, Met with the dean, spoke with the associate dean, and just kind of looked at the course schedule and was like, "Hey, this mixes in a little bit of law with union strategy and all of that, and then management styles and org design, and then your kind of core HR functions, benefits, talent acquisition, and all of that." So I was like, "Hey, I'm never going to be bored. There's always something to do." But yeah, my initial thought was like, "Hey, I'm in the Corn Belt. Might as well study something that's around." And I've used a lot from it. Frankly, I really kind of grew my Excel skills in undergrad, which no matter what role you're in, as long as you're strong in technical aspects like that, you'll succeed or at least bring something to the table.
So that's good that you got that experience. You got to learn more about how to use technical skills as well as soft skills. So, uh, what would you say now working in the sports industry, working for NCAA? Like, what would you recommend for someone that is like interested in getting into that field?
Yeah, definitely. And I do talent acquisition, see applications, hundreds, 200s, thousands, even for our internship program. It's a competitive industry, frankly. It's one where you work a lot. You're working long hours. You're working weekends. A lot of the times, you start off volunteering at whatever school you went to and volunteering for those programs. So to get involved, you got to simply ask. I started out as a student manager at Illinois by simply cold emailing the coaches. And,
Wow.
it just so happened that they had an opening. The student manager was graduating, and they said, "Hey, come by the office next week." And, it was really frank happenstance. So definitely reach out to, your network, whether that's, your school's athletic department or local minor league teams. They can always use help. They can always use volunteer help. But you just got to understand the sports industry is it's very competitive. A
Definitely.
bunch of people want to get in, and yeah, you got to just put in the time and effort, frankly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, I guess with now being at NCAA and you've been working there for over 3 years, like what would you say is like the most interesting thing that you've found about it?
Yeah, so not many people understand how the NCAA operates. Many think it's just one person in a ivory tower making decisions and all that, but frankly, it's not. It's really kind of run like our current government structure. There's a legislative body, which is the membership, the schools and conferences that vote on rulemaking and everything from like the length of a season to practice hours and all of that. So
Hmm.
our membership votes, and then committees decide, and then ultimately there is a board of governors structure. But just from my experience, it just reminds me a lot of our current government structure, where there's committees, there's voices to be heard, there's representation. So that's the closest thing I could think of that resembles the NCAA.
And I guess like from your seat at the table, like what would you consider yourself? in that overall hierarchy?
Yeah, so the HR function supports the national office staff. So we have roughly 500 employees. We do all of the championships for 90 championships for all sports, except for the college football playoff. That's technically a separate entity.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense.
and then we do all the rules processing. So from the start of a student athlete's career in high school, leading up to graduation, we monitor all of that. And then we have various programming as well for student athletes. So it's not directly
Hmm.
HR, but our inclusion, education, and community engagement group runs various programs for not only student athletes, but coaches and administrators in college athletics too. So some various programs are the Student Athlete Leadership Forum, Inclusion Forum, Common Ground. We have a variety of events throughout the year. But yeah, we do a lot more than just host championships and are the kind of rule enforcers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess from a standpoint of, are you dealing with athletes? Are you only like focused on the human resources aspect of the employees that work at NCAA?
So HR just supports the national office staff. We have about 500 employees, ranging from our championships operations group to our regulatory affairs group, which handles all the rulemaking, the enforcement of that, and those processes. But we do have a group, inclusion, education, and community engagement, that hosts a variety of programs throughout the year, not only for student athletes but coaches and administrators. We have a student athlete leadership forum, inclusion forum, common ground, just to name a few. But they're like definitely heavily involved with student athletes in membership, whereas HR is just supports the national office staff.
Yeah, that makes total sense there. And then one more question before we get to the final question, but wanted to ask you about your take on like the NIL, like well, I guess you could explain what that stands for and what how that's really kind of changed the game with the NCAA.
Yeah, so there's always been legal cases kind of in the history of the NCAA, starting with Regions of Oklahoma versus the NCAA, which really changed the football landscape and the television landscape back in the '70s. But yeah, now NIL is in the open. That stands for name, image, likeness. So historically, the NCAA controlled name, image, likeness for student athletes. So you couldn't profit off of your name, image, likeness. And now student athletes are free to use that however they see fit, whether that's selling ads on social media, to writing books and all that. There were rules that allowed that sort of stuff earlier on, but now it's really mainstream and in the open. Um, but but yeah, moving forward, it's here. We are enforcing it. We are keeping track of everything, but there's more to come. We do need some type of overarching body, whether that comes from Congress or what our membership decides. But currently, our transformation committee is tasked with handling that.
Wow, it's and it's a lot of groundbreaking stuff that it's long overdue. As an athlete, you should have the right to get some of the money back from like all the work that you put into
Mhm.
the school. And so we'll end with the question that I ask all my guests, which is, what is your one cup of success?
Yeah, honestly, it's you own your career. I tell people that, especially younger staff, our intern class here at the NCAA, I tell them that always. It's up to you to figure out what you want to do. Sometimes you can kind of luck into a role, but like the old proverb, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So definitely own your current role, be great at what you do at now, and opportunities will arise from that. But don't hesitate to kind of poke the bear a little bit and say, hey, I want to get involved in this, or hey, I have a solution here. Definitely go ahead and do it, and work with your manager and coworkers on getting that goal accomplished. stuff just doesn't come to you out of the blue. You need to be involved heavily. So
Yeah.
that phrase just sticks with me, is you own your career.
Yeah, that's great sentiment there. And yeah, Andrew, thanks again for coming on the show.
Yep, it was a pleasure.